Hey folks, welcome to Bear Mountain. Today we are getting ready to plant our fall ranunculus. We've got them all pre-sprouted. We had to make a couple of changes and we'll explain a little bit about our pre-sprouting thing and what we had to do. But first, before we really get into the planting side of it, I kind of wanted to talk about what did we do to prep the soil to help the plants through the winter and into the spring. And one of the things that we've been doing in this tunnel is pretty much a continuous cropping between years on putting our fall planting ranunculus or stock or things of that nature in here. And we've been adding biochar that we've been making here on the farm, and you can check out some of our videos on that. And we've been adding it to at about a rate of putting about a 1/4 inch of the if you want to call it cured char, which means it's had time enough to get biologically active. It's been mixed with composts and things of that nature that have helped charge the char with some biology in it. And we've just put it on this section of the bed. Plus, we also have a bed, if you kind of pan to the left or right, my left anyway. This bed has been completely, we put the biochar on that one, and then we also put a 1/4 inch or maybe, right around a 1/4 inch of urban waste compost over the top, have wetted that bed down, so that one's really good to go to plant. We've also treated those beds with JMS. So we kind of gave biology kind of a kickstart on it, and we've kind of been keeping it well irrigated, if you want to call it that, so that there's been enough moisture in the soil for biology to kind of keep kicking around.
This tunnel hoop house is no-till, never been tilled.
Never been tilled. The only thing we did is when we first built the beds is we came through with a broad fork and loosened it up for any compaction that was in it. And I apologize for dropping off the camera.
I found you.
No professionals. Anyway, if you look at the soil itself, where we're now getting to the point to, this is our second year of applying biochar, and it's starting to get a little visible in the soil itself. We're not tilling the biochar in, although we did come by with a rake and we kind of just like gently chopped it in, maybe, thinking about, probably hit about an inch or so to kind of mix it. And what happens is, after we do an application like this is typically by spring, the bigger chunks you can still find, but the small stuff is kind of worked its way into the soil and worked its way down from worm action and things of that nature. So it's already starting to, kind of get down into the root zone itself. And one of the things we always kind of like to do is just go through and check to see where our compaction layer is. And when we first started doing this, we busted up a compaction layer with our broad fork. It got it down to where it was about 10 inches. And everything now from this point forward has either been root action or just adding biology through JMS and just kind of keeping kind of a light compost. So we've kind of been trying to build up the biology in here, and I just kind of wanted to check this. I haven't done it yet this year, and see where we're at, see how easy I can get the pole down. I'm not really putting a lot of pressure on. Okay, looks like I hit the compaction level right there. So I'm still on this side, 10, 12 inches. So I got a little bit better.
Not as good as
but
some
not as
of the
good
others.
as like the bed over here on this side. I've checked, and it is down to about 16, 18 inches. So it's getting better. In some places it's worse. In this case, this end right here is it's kind of a weird, this tunnel is kind of like on a transition where it had building waste years ago when they built our house. It was kind of like piled down here. So some of this stuff has got subsoil on it that we've kind of been working to try to get the biology better. And it's getting better. but we still have that compaction problem. And sometimes, you know, you can go over a bit, maybe you hit a rock or something. You know, in this case, it looks like, see, it's going down further here. So it's not necessarily uniform in terms of, yeah, it's a little bit more, but not terribly much. So after you go through and you kind of look at the entire bed, it's probably going to average about 12 inches.
It sounds like it's good enough, isn't it?
It's good, yeah. But where I ultimately want to get this house to is to get it down to where I've got at least 18 inches of good non-compacted, because part of what I'm concerned about was when you get to a compaction level is when I have water, you know, that when it rains on the outside will percolate down to the ground. If it hits a compaction layer, will then move along the compaction layer. And I want to make certain that I don't build up an anaerobic type thing into the root zone here, because the water is really slow to percolate through a compaction layer that's fairly close to the root zone. And we did have some problems with Ranunculus a couple of years ago in the back end of this bed, that they started out looking real great, but by the time the winter was finished and all the water had kind of like worked its way in, we definitely had some rot. And that's what I'm concerned about. So the Ranunculus really can be susceptible to rot if they, at least what I found in growing in a tunnel, if they don't have good drainage and good airflow. So those two things are really key. So this bed here, we got the biochar on it, kind of chopped it in a little bit in the surface. We'll put our 1/4 inch of compost over the top, you know, and continue to wet it down. This side's going to be planted probably tomorrow, and then we'll plant this side over here on the other side, which is already ready to go. We'll plant that one today, and we'll show you kind of what we have to do. Old man standing up. Watch out. So I'm going to take a walk over here and just do a test on this side and see where we're at. We'll do a couple. Let's see. Oh yeah, see, it's way different over here. Oh man, still going down. Not hardly putting a lot of pressure in it. Still kind of going down, but I think it's kind of pretty much hit its mark. Now you can see on this one, you know, we got it significantly better than the other side. And this side over here, we've always had pretty good luck with, you know, keeping the rot levels down. Although we did have some sections last year. So yeah, this is like 17.5 inch, roughly. So it's about 18 inches. It's kind of starting to get to the zone where I want it to be. And I think, you know, when you start keep working at it, it gets better and better. Now, what we don't do is, we haven't done for a couple of years, is rotate our Ranunculus from one tunnel to the next, because we tend to either add additional fertility in here and continually add in through the JMS, the microbiology solutions, and we've also raised multiple things in here, maybe not in exactly the same spots. So in a sense, we're not really necessarily doing rotation, but we'll raise different things afterwards that will help, you know, add biology into the soil. Like we've added dianthus in here once upon a time. We've had stock in here. The center bed has been snapdragons and delphiniums, and we even had dried beans in here 2 years ago. So we've kind of done some different things after the Ranunculus have been finished. And I think that kind of helps make a difference. This summer, though, it was so hot, we actually left it fallow. So nothing was raised in here during the summertime other than the stuff that survived quite well without even being irrigated. So you can see that we're definitely got moisture in the soil and we got biology in the soil. So let's go and take a look at the Ranunculus and what we had to do this year. Okay, it's a little breezy out here, so if it sounds a little wonky, our apologies. But we need to kind of do this part outside. We didn't use 72 big block 72 cell trays this year for a couple of reasons. First is We couldn't get any new ones. We had some that were, they just had reached the end of their useful life. And the second is due to the pandemic and our own personal situation, we were not able to get up into our nursery supply place and get some Pro Mix before we had to do this. So kind of cobbed together our own version of mix, but it was a little bit limited. So we kind of went backwards and did the tray routine. Now these guys have been in the tray for a long time, so I want to show you the bottom. So as you can see, the roots have come through the weave bottom tray. So not much damage there, but I think it's just going to be, we're just going to have to work these guys apart, which is going to kind of slow the whole process down. And then once I've kind of worked them apart, give them a really brief soak in some compost soil mixed with rainwater to kind of give them a little bit of a juice. And this variety here is a Labelle Mix. And these were done, this is approximately 3 weeks after we did the actual pre-soak in our aerated bubbler system. We pre-soaked them for about 2 hours and then just kind of let them drip dry for about 45 minutes and then put down about maybe half, or not even half the tray, about half the tray I guess, of mix in it, and then laid out the individual corms and then covered it with mix again, wetted it down, and just kind of made sure that they never really dried out but never got too sopping wet so that they would germinate well. And that's about all there is to it. And at this point, the next step is we're gonna just kind of work these guys apart. And unfortunately, this is the part that can get a little tricky.
Are you gonna soak them first?
Well, I'm gonna soak them after I get the mix off of them.
Oh. And
I'm thinking from that perspective that it's easier to get the excess mix off these guys while it's a little drier than it is necessarily wet or muddy, because that's what we're going to try to do is we got to pull these guys apart. As you can see, they're kind of working themselves apart. I mean, here's an example. So this guy's going to be, pretty good. It's got good root system, no rot. So what we'll do is we'll make a furrow row with a hoe and stick these guys in and plant them right about up to that level right there. And that way it's not too deep and they should be in good shape. So I want to just kind of work these off. I'm putting them in a crate with a kind of an open bottom to it, weave bottom to it, so that the mix can fall out as I gently shake it. And that way I'm not carting around a ton of mix. So as you can see, once you kind of get the tray started, you can kind of just ease them apart. Kind of want to be very careful with these guys because I don't want to bust them. And then afterwards, what I'll do with the mix is I'll just apply it over the top of the soil as part of since it's mostly compost and a little perlite.
I can use the mix.
Well, maybe I'll just give it to Denise. Let her use it.
I have seed.
We do have some snapdragons. We are going to go get some mixes this next week, but I'm going to make some here at home, make some homemade stuff.
I need to bump some stuff up.
Yep. It's very strange, this is October and we're still planting stuff. I don't understand. I thought we were supposed to be done.
No, this is just as busy as the springtime.
Yep, it truly is. As you can see, so the roots pull through pretty easy. There's a few that are kind of breaking off, but the vast majority of everything is in pretty good shape. Just really easy, just kind of shakes off. And that's why we didn't, soak it first, and some of these guys are really nice sized corms.
Are any of these ours?
This group was
New.
Yeah, the Labelle Mix was new. The Picotees and the Amadine Pastel Mix are ours. I think that one there in the crate is the Picotee. So this is just kind of a mix of various colors. Hopefully it's not all red.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a trick, when you buy mixes, you go, sometimes they give you a mix that's, well, that's all the stuff people didn't want. Red,
we've had
yellow.
some very interesting ones
Or
coming out of the mix.
Yeah. I'm sure there's no Hanois in the mix there.
No, that's a different provider.
Yeah, I know. But it's still, I'm going to set this right here.
Stuff that our clients like.
Yep.
So we grow
there might be some super greens in here because I think that's kind of in the same class as LaBelle.
And they like what we don't do a ton of red, but if there's a couple of red ones in there, they're kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool.
So just gently, see, the open weave bottom allows you to kind of gently just kind of shake the stuff out. And you can see.
Throw that stuff away.
No, we're going to use it. There's still some that I got to kind of tease apart here that are kind of still clumped.
It's amazing how you reuse and reuse when you don't have stuff.
Well, it's not that there's necessarily a shortage of anything. It's more like a shortage of us getting there and getting it. Yeah. So this is a personal problem. It's an operator issue.
Yeah, I know. But then you make do with what you can.
But it's always kind of a fun challenge too to see what you can do without buying a whole lot of stuff. Okay, so there you go. They're all sitting there. Got to go put the compost. We'll get some compost and then we'll put it in our rainwater mix and let them soak for about 3 minutes or so, and then we should be good to plant. All right, this was taken from our compost pile, and it's got a really heavy amount of worm castings in it. It's even got some really small little itty bitty compost worms in here too. So there is a ton of biology. I mean, it even feels like worm castings. It's kind of got that kind of clayish kind of feel to it. This compost is 2 years old, and so it's in excellent shape, full of biology. So took about half a can here, and just going to put it in my tray, which has got about 3 inches or so of water in it. Get it all dissolved.
Is that okay with your hands?
Oh yeah, it's all good stuff. Drink a cup. Okay, so we put the ranunculus in here, and I'm just going to kind of get them, soaking in it. They're going to want to float a little bit. They shouldn't. And just make sure they're all, there we go. And absorbing that stuff in. I'm just going to make sure I kind of got it. The crate's a little tight fit at the bottom, but got about an inch of water in there, inch of compost water in there. So they're going to absorb that up. And while that's going on, let's go in the hoop house here and we'll show you how we're going to line things out.